Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds. I'm Nerdicus Steve, and as usual, I'm joined by this nerd.
Nerdocus Ted, how are you doing this fine and lovely evening, sir?
I'm doing well. Today is cooled off because the last 2 days were hot as balls, and I did not appreciate that at all. A big fat guy. I
Yeah,
don't like the heat.
I definitely appreciated the cooler weather today. My family, went camping this weekend. It was getting a chance to get away and a break of our normal schedule.
Yeah,
I know that PA has relaxed a little bit of their policies in regards to masks and what have you. If you've been vaccinated, you're allowed in buildings unmasked, and outside, as long as you're social distancing, masks are not required.
yeah. It seems like as they figure more stuff, like outside seems to have been okay, as long as you're not like packed together at some
Right.
kind of like outdoor concert or rally or something.
Right.
You're like sardines, but like under normal circumstances, it's not as nearly as bad.
So, kids are still not allowed to share a tent unless they live in the same house.
Uh,
So instead of it being the troop going camping as themselves, they invited it to families. So bring everybody along, and as long as you're all living under the same roof, you can share a tent.
yeah,
So
that
it's been a
works.
while since I got out and slept in a tent.
Yeah,
So
but you're like, listen, I just for the last like 18 months or whatever it's been, I've been trapped in the house with these same people. Now you want me to be trapped in a tent with them too?
yeah, we got to sit by the fire and do like the typical camping relaxation and
Yeah,
camping activities. And the place that we went wasn't like a scout camp. It's like they had a pool that after basically being cooked all Saturday morning, we got to go cool off in the way too cold pool, but it felt awesome after being under the sun for all that time.
so we're gonna be talking about armor tonight.
Indeed.
Um, and I was also kind of thinking about how it was hot the last couple of days, and be like, oh, being stuck in suit of armor would suck. Which there are some curse suits of armor you cannot take off. So yeah, that would be my nightmare. The summertime being trapped in a suit of armor. There like doesn't have to be any other part of the curse. Just that alone. Like, oh my god, just kill me already.
Yeah, it's one of the things like for those who happen to be sitting here watching and might not be aware, we always pair our weekly newsletter with the topic of this. So, this Wednesday we'll have last Monday's or this Wednesday Thursday will be last Monday's live chat topic. And so
Yeah,
I was already trying to get ahead of the curve and writing mine about armor. And I'm like, real armor rules are really complex. There's layering behind all of this, coming up with heat exhaustion rules, and you need this type of weapon versus that type of armor to actually do anything more than just kind of batter and bruise someone around a little bit. Like, just thinking about it was making me exhausted,
yeah.
as if I was wearing a suit of plate mail out in the hot sun.
So, Winter Sky is coming to us from Gateshead, UK. You'll be in the UK in not too long, right?
Well, I don't know how much I'm allowed to talk about, but uh, I did just give D&D in a Castle my availability for 2022, and I'll leave it at that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought there was maybe some September dates.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah. So maybe not. I know other people are talking about it. I don't know. I kind of ghosted on them a little bit because of like they were talking about it, and it was like way like I think like the latest date at that point was like March, and I'm like, it's too soon for us to be talking about this. So, and I don't know. Are we even allowed in other countries right now?
I that was in some of the conversations.
Yeah,
You know that there was talk about what kind of travel limitations are there, what kind of things are going on. So all I can say is that I was reached out to ask about 2022. I confirmed, this is definitely when I'd be interested in doing, and waiting for any kind of future confirmations as to when something may or may not be happening. Um, yeah.
Cool. And I'm sure once you get back over to the castles, there's some suits of armor floating around there for sure.
Yeah, there's some pretty amazing pieces in the castle itself. The castle was beautiful. I dug it. The whole experience was fabulous. So I know that there was somebody in one of the live chats that you do during the week that had commented something to the extent of like, I will never play in a game with a paid DM. But it's more, D&D in a castle is more than just paying a DM. It's like a freaking experience.
Yeah, you're paying for the experience.
You getting you're getting the quote unquote celebrity GM. You're getting the castle. You're getting all of the food, and you're getting to shove 6 sessions of gaming in over 3 days, and then whatever night games you feel like getting into besides. So yeah, and then castle day is a thing as well. So hobnobbing with some fun people.
Yeah, Viking beard. I'm building a paladin using shield and a whip. What armor should I use, and what stats should matter, strength or dex? I don't think for whip. I think that's a finesse weapon, isn't it?
I believe so.
So honestly, that's completely up to you. But luckily, because I was doing some research, I have D&D Beyond up.
So I mean, you could totally go the Dexodin route.
Finesse and reach. So you can use strength or dex.
You're going to get a better armor class if you go strength and put on the plate mail. Using a shield that gets you up to a 20.
Otherwise you're in light armor. I mean, you can use a shield.
It's a 19. It's 1 point difference.
Yeah.
But you got 12 for studded leather.
Although
maxed out dex.
I did see Serpent Scale Mail doesn't have a max on your dex. I don't know how generous your GM's going to be with magic items.
Yeah, you got to find something that's going to allow you to go beyond. Yeah.
What are you doing over there, man?
Sorry, that's the dryer.
I'm gonna stifle all my off-color comments. Like, what is Ted doing? This is a family show, man. So a lot of times when we do these, I like to go over to D&D Beyond because it's really easy to pull up stats. As long as you're just looking at the official stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got basically 15 different mundane armor entries: 4 light, 6 medium, 4 heavy, and 1 for shield, because I guess we're lumping shield in with armor as well. And then when you get to magic items, it's there's 41 magic items that come up for magic armor.
Mm-hmm.
Only 24 of them require attunement, so a decent amount of them, don't. And 4 of which are cursed out of the 20 cursed magic items that are listed on D&D Beyond.
That's pretty cool.
So there's a bit. So I guess that's like 20% of them are all grouped in that one area. 2 of which are suits of armor. You have, what is it? It's the fiend armor and then the scorpion armor. Which the scorpion armor is actually kind of, it's not bad if you're a Yati. I mean, you can't take it off or whatever, but you don't have to worry about the poison damage it does to you, because it does. Right, yeah. It does 100 points of poison damage a day.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's a little bit on the ridiculous side. Yeah, I was just looking at it earlier. But other than that, it's sweet magic plus. It's sweet magic armor that gives you a +5 bonus to initiative.
Ooh.
Doesn't impose stealth disadvantage on your stealth checks, and also it doesn't bother you in heat. But it's a DC 15 con save, or take 100 points or 10 die 10 plus 45 points of poison damage on a failed saving throw. Half if you succeed. Like I said, it's great for Ayanti.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's a kind of a ridiculous thing.
Demon armor is not so bad either, man. You get it's +1 plate armor. You get you can speak abyssal, and you get sweet claws that do it die 8, and they're magic weapons, +1 magic weapons. So you can't take it off, and basically you suck against demons. Like you have disadvantage on on your saving throws against their spells and special abilities. And you have disadvantage to attack them. But as long as you're not fighting demons, it's not so bad.
Totally, you should have used that against you guys in the Curse of Narcotis game.
Maybe. What, put us in the armor?
Yeah.
Although, I mean, let's face it, cursed magic items in 5e really aren't.
Yeah, but
They're not what they're not all they're cracked up to be.
Or you understand that there are ways to, modify, and you're like, oh, well, this is what it says in the book. That's cute. That's not what I'm gonna do.
I feel like you can't, you can, but I feel like you have to be kind of thoughtful with that. You can't be all willy nilly changing the core precepts of the game.
Well, I mean, that's what every edition does. The vast changes that that can happen. There can be different levels of curses on things. Okay, this is a cursed item. The only way to deal with it is to cast remove curse. Oh well, this thing is beyond that. Remove curse doesn't work. You must fulfill this specific criteria in order to take the suit off and break attunement.
Yeah. That being said, in the newsletter that just went out, I did kind of create a cursed magic item that is a little bit. It's not super specific, but I tied it to greater restoration as opposed to remove curse, and then remove curse had an effect.
I don't know. I'm okay with things on rare instances, breaking, the usual, breaking the norm, because there's always going to be exceptions to every rule that's out there. And, I'm the kind of DM that if I do something like that, I'm going to reward you with something better than what you thought you had, a chance to either redeem the cursed item so that it's better than what it was without any of the drawbacks, and you've had a cool story to tell.
Well, that's always the key, right? Making it not just a GM gotcha moment,
right? I did the one session early on in the second campaign where you guys found some cursed items, and it was like, oh, haha, you cast remove curse or whatever it was.
Yeah, the next day, yeah.
Next day, poof, okay, not a problem. And it was done and over with. The biggest issue was you guys thought you got some really cool stuff.
Yeah.
You have to deal with, oh, I don't have that.
It was the wound to our hearts that hurt the most. So what I did is it's greater restoration to remove the curse, but then you could suppress the curse for a day with a remove curse spell. So it still did something. And also it's an item that that you need to use daily. It's almost like an addiction, except for it's an addiction that kills you much faster. Each day you go without the thing, it gives you a level of exhaustion. Yeah, so you could if you fail saving throw, so you could slow it down. But if you sign up for the newsletter, you'd have that and you could see what that was. So
yeah. And signing up for the newsletter, not only do we create stuff, there's times that we're making monsters, magic items. I know I've done a subclass for them, but beyond that, we also do monthly giveaways and what have you. I've got a box full of minis here. I can kind of pull out some of the cool
Yeah.
things that's in it, and that's going to be decided is it next week or two
You just
weeks?
had like a blur spell on you.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, 2 weeks from now, um, we'll be making the next selection. So Monday the 7th, that might be my off week. So I might have these guys announce, but who knows? But we do a monthly giveaway. It's usually at this time it's usually $100 or more, but we always say that it's $50 or more of stuff.
Yeah. Which usually it's more than that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's gotten up there pretty high as well.
yeah. We've sent out two of the Invisible Sun cubes,
Yeah.
which $300. I know the 1 year or the one like Christmas giveaway. I kind of did the math on it. It was over $400 worth of stuff. Uh,
We like to
so
give stuff away.
we do. It's fun.
So I was thinking too, I was like, are there any real like iconic suits of armor in fantasy or D&D? And I feel like the demon armor is really cool, and like if that showed up, that would kind of be like that, right? But so I was trying to think, and I only could come up with two different ones. Like I think like Warduke's getup is kind of like iconic
Hmm.
because you don't really see much of him anyway. It's just like his breastplate, his fur panties, and and that helm, right? And
To me,
then
it's
and then
more
I
the
think
helm than anything else.
yeah.
To me, that's what the fur breeches. I wouldn't call them panties. I would not want to upset the War Duke. But that very iconic blue helm. I'm sorry, but helms are part of armor. Fight me if you disagree. Um,
And it definitely is, especially if you have someone whack you over the head, right?
and I have.
It'll get harder to disagree. But then I also think of Dragonlance and the Dragon High Lord armor.
Mm,
Yeah, but I was kind of disappointed. Like off the top of my head, like I mean, maybe um the knights from Game of Thrones, the Kingsguard, like they had
mhm.
that white and gold armor.
Yep.
So they were kind of like that was kind of a little bit iconic, but like you didn't see it at that much. It didn't come up as that much.
So the real trick is being able to take something and turn it into something in your world. Whether you have stylized iconography that's part of the armor, oh, you walk into the main city, the main kingdom, and you see flanking the streets, as the carriage rolls by, 30 of these immaculate suits of armor standing at attention. And maybe you do like total Spartan thing of they have to be a certain height, so they're all, men and women of 6 feet or taller, because if you don't fit the armor, you don't fit the guard.
Yeah,
Uh, you know,
David Ted, why did you say that before? I could have put it on my list. Spartan. That is definitely iconic as well because you got the shield and the spear and the breastplate and the helm. I feel like that. I think that works.
okay, well, I mean,
I mean, it's
sorry.
not fantasy; it's real
Yeah,
world, but
true.
I'll take it.
But I thought you were going more in that direction.
Yeah,
But if you were to go with, those kinds of things, and you don't need to shove it down your players' throats, but every time, they encounter one of these special guards, like, mention another detail and bring up how other people treat these elite or these knights. And if you're playing in the same world, encountering these things over and over again, someone's gonna be like, I want to be one of them, that sounds cool.
yeah,
And that winds up giving your world a little bit more when the players choose to buy in on your concept. um, to me, beyond the iconic, there are elements of the magic armors that players tend to fight over and drool over. Um, maybe not drool the appropriate word, but uh, like, how often do you have people who are craving, adamantine armor? It's not iconic. You don't. No one's got a. Well, not. I don't think a lot of people have a. This is exactly what it looks like. Beyond that. You know, darkened steel. But like I look at, the aspect of it of like, man, just being able to say, nope, you can't crit me anymore.
Yeah.
That's one of those things of like, that's pretty awesome. I'm gonna jump in the chat for an off topic from Darklight Mike. Says, ever consider braiding the beard like a dwarf? That would look epic. I have actually braided the beard. The wife has threatened to, take some of the hair and braid that down into here to get the super long braids. And we just haven't made that happen. But at some point in time before a stream, it will indeed happen. So cool that you brought that up. Kudos on saying it will look epic. It'll happen, just don't know when. But like, with the adamantine armor, my character in Dawnbringers on Thursday nights, I've got adamantine armor. And since I switched over to it, I have not been crit once.
See, like it's such a deterrent, right? Like the dice don't even think about critting you now. Like, it's a waste.
So it's like, oh man, what the flip? When is it gonna happen?
Although, as we're talking, I'm thinking like, I mean, not fantasy, but close enough. The Mandalorian armor as well.
Mandalorian armor is freaking awesome. I've loved that since
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett. I mean, that was a big deal when I was a kid. Even the weird blue color that does not look like metal.
Well, I think that's part of like the aesthetic, though, right? It definitely helps. Yeah, I want to braid my beard, but it's not long enough. I don't feel like it's long enough.
Trimming it, so you've got the good solid Santa beard, and I've been trying to see how long I can get this to go.
Yeah.
And it does this spot in the middle doesn't like to grow out as long as the sides, so like it's got the natural like, okay, I can split this and totally do the braid and what have you. So I have done the single braid, I've done the double braid, but the wife who wants to kind of take it and do the whole knotted thing here, I think it's going to look awesome when I can make that happen.
I think like dwarves like treat their beards with special minerals and oils to like make it flame resistant and also probably cut resistant. So it's like a form of natural armor.
So they've got beard armor, huh?
They've got beard armor. Well, I think there's an article on our website where there is beard armor. Like
it's a spell.
No. Not beardomancy, but there's an actual item like elf bait. Eli did an article.
Okay.
On some dwarf stuff, and I'm fairly certain one of the things he did was like it was all like accessories and stuff, and one of them was like kind of like armor that would go over top of your beard, so your beard wouldn't get hacked in battle.
Yeah, I find that casting spells like lesser restoration, in games over the years, people have used it to regrow, burnt hair or severed hair. It's like, well, does that really need healing, or do you have to let it go? Let it regrow naturally on its own. And I feel that, since we're talking about this, and this is a deviation from armor, but I'm going to run with it. Again, the Dawnbringers, the two dwarves in the party, are kind of the, as dwarves sometimes get to be, the comic relief. And it's like, oh, well, something happens and this explosion and, hair gets burned, or, oh, you do this hit and the dwarves are now coated in blood. So it's definitely ridiculous that, these kinds of things can happen. And yeah, I think, having armor to protect your beard because they're such a classic thing, that would make a lot of sense.
So I went and found it, right? Because I just needed to. Beard girding is what it's called when they armor up their beards. And also you have the bearded helm. I'll see if I can't put the article in the chat for people if they want to check it out. Because, when you're a dwarf, you can never have too much armor, especially on your beard.
That is true. And I had animated armor on my list of things to talk about because it is one of this is Brian Smith calling it out. Animated armor is one of my favorite low level monsters to use because like it is an effing beast.
Yeah.
I had I almost TPK'd a party with it
The
on.
the best part is like they don't do that much damage. So, but they're also so freaking tanky because they're so hard to hit.
Well, I used like I think I was planning to use two, but I used one, and because it was like the first encounter, like right off the bat, the players didn't want to use all their good stuff. So like they're using their cantrips and they're attacking, and it's just
Yeah.
miss after miss after miss after miss. And it's just not hurt anything. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna kill him. What do I do?
I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him so bad. Well, yeah, animated armor is one of the things you can talk about, but also one of I don't know why for five. I think it's a 5e monster. I don't remember it from previous editions, but I mean, you can fill a lot of space with all the things I don't remember. Um, the is it Helmed Horror?
Yeah,
The Helmed Horrors. I really dig those.
they're one of those monsters that have some rare immunities, though, right?
Yeah, they've got a bunch of immunities. Um, like being force damage being one of them.
Yeah,
They're just like pick three. Just pick three spells that are immune to those. And then they have some immunities in addition to that. Force being one of them. So that's why they're like usually they're more immune to lightning bolt, fireball, and I forget what the other thing usually is, but they're like not magic missile because they're just immune to force.
Yeah, it's like, dear Lord, isn't disintegrate force damage as well?
Yeah, it is.
So
They
it's
walk
like,
through disintegrates like it was nothing.
like that's some serious mojo to be laying down on the table. So
They're only like a CR4. They're not like super high either.
I thought they were higher than that.
No, they're not.
I assume that you're looking at the stats. So
I'm not. I'm going from memory, but it is a CR4. They even have a reduced that's a CR2.
oh geez.
Now I am looking at, but again, it's one of those monsters that has a decent armor class, 20, 60 hit points. It flies. It's got some immunities, like we mentioned, and and then it's just like certain spells. No, not gonna work. Oh, and magic resistance. So I don't. I like them mainly because they just look cool too.
Oh, they absolutely. That's one of those things that, like, when you think about armors, like those are one of the images that come to mind.
Yeah.
And then if you really want to, peeve off your players, there's nothing to say that you couldn't strap a shield onto either of those guys. Like, all right, the animated armor picks up a shield, or the helmed horror picks up a shield. Now they got a 22 AC. Like,
Yeah, I think they already have. I think they already use shields. I know that the Helm Horror does.
Okay, the
because that's plate in his shield. But yeah, you can totally do that. I've had fun. Like, so my Artificer character has kind of acquired a suit of animated armor.
Oh, nice.
In our Curse of Strahd game. I don't use it that often in combat. Like, but we've done some fun things. Like, one of the characters had like a tray of food with them. So like I just had them follow because his name is Jeeves, and I had him follow them around with the tray instead of doing anything useful. And another time, like in Curse of Strahd, spoilers that could possibly come up, but might not necessarily come up because of the way
Curse of Strahd come out?
A while ago. But like so this guy's throwing a body in the lake. And and you figure out it's like one of the main NPCs. I think it's like Ismet or something like that. He's got the demon arm. So we retrieved the body, and we're like, well, what are we gonna do? We don't carry this dead body around town. So the GM let my Artificer disassemble my animated armor and reassemble it on them, and so basically meat puppet them around town. and he like works for the burgomaster, and we were kind of at odds with the burgomaster, and broke into his house, and then had like him being chased by the animated suit of armor with his like former, I guess he was like a bodyguard or lieutenant or whatever in the armor. So that's been fun.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a blast. I mean, I dig, having those kind of things that DMs occasionally throw out as little perks that wind up fitting the character. Whether it be a unique familiar or a pretty cool minion.
Well, yeah, in the initiative order, it's Artie and the Ardettes, because he's got Jeeves that follows him around as well of his Iron Defender, or Steel Defender, whichever. I always forget. I feel like one of them is the Thing, and the other one is a monster from third edition.
Yeah, Iron Defender is the old one. I think it's a Steel Defender is the what the Artificer gets.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I was just really surprised. Like there isn't more like iconic armors in fantasy. I think and now I want it to be a thing. So like the next time you guys encounter some kind of villain, that's what you're gonna know them for.
Okay.
Maybe you never even get to see their face. You always just see the armor.
I mean that's one of those classic things.
Yeah.
Is that to have the villain that you encounter that gets away and you never actually see what they look like because
Well,
they
I mean, what do you think, Lord Soft? You think Lord Soft falls under that category?
100%, 100%.
Because right, like it's just the armor and red glowing eyes, pretty much.
But I mean, what if the red glowing eyes was part of the armor and that, they could go appear in court as somebody else, Lord Soft being, for using that stat block, not that character.
Yeah.
That's the persona, but in court, he's just, a regular person that walks around and you don't know that he's the dastardly villain. It's almost like if you could take off the armor of Darth Vader and, Anakin could just walk around as a normal dude, but you had no idea who he is if you've got, the thing going on.
Well, I mean, Lord Soth is like the first Death Knight, pretty much. Like,
Yeah, yes, but
he's
like,
the OG.
If you were to use that concept, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. I mean, they even use Lord Soth's image as the Death Knight image.
Brian, we did talk about Warduke a little earlier. I think you might have just been tad late to the party.
Yeah, like that was one of the few ones that I could think of right off the top of my head was Warduke and it is pretty much the helm is pretty epic. And also too, like when you have a helm like that and they just totally obscures the face and the face is never revealed, I think that adds to the mystique of it all as well. Do you have a favorite suit of armor?
So, like, are we talking like across everything, or are you talking about in D&D?
In D&D, your characters, do you tend towards?
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's nothing quite as secure as that, adamantine armor that you just like. All right, I don't have to worry about crits. Like that cuts down so much danger of this game, because I mean, how many times? I mean, I know you don't always have the best of luck with dice, but
well, let's be honest, dice hate me.
But it's a scenario where, like, you go into melee with the bad guy, and he's like, "All right, this thing attacks you 5 times." Okay, you do that 2 rounds in a row. That's some pretty decent odds. There might be a crit in there, and if you've already been hit a number of other times, 1 crit could spell the end. Let alone what happens if you get 3, and I've seen that happen too. So being able to be like, nope, you just can't crit me. End of story.
No, thank you.
So, legitimately, my character in the Dawnbringers is the only one that's doing the heavy armor thing or the medium armor thing.
I thought there was another paladin. Oh, is there another barbarian?
We had another paladin. He left the game. We do have another barbarian, but he's going the unarmored route.
Okay.
So, well, he totally bare chests it.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, when you're a barbarian, there's really not a whole lot of point. to wearing armor.
unless you don't have the stats to cover it all, because you had to put points elsewhere because you've decided to pick up other classes.
Yeah. But I mean, still, like you can't really put heavy armor on, so you're still stuck at medium.
Yeah,
I mean, unless you don't want to rage or use your other barbarian abilities.
I've got a 17 AC. It's not
Yeah.
horrendous, so
Yeah. I think I do like I do like plate armor and a shield. I mean, I rocked
yeah,
that for a while in your game.
yeah. You had quite a lot of fun with Uzingar and all of the frustrations that you caused when I just couldn't hit you no matter what.
Until you could, and then I was like, and then anytime I get hit, I was like half dead. Because it was inevitably it was probably a crit, and I did not have the adamantium armor, which also you're sacrificing armor class in order to have that as well.
Right, because there's no
Yeah,
magical bonus. It's just the armor. I've got an adamantine breastplate, Viking
yeah.
beard, so it does not have to be full plate, which fifth edition just calls plate. Uh, but Brian wants to know, don't you think a smart dragon would figure out a way to don armor and just push its AC up as high as it can?
I was just like reading that as well. Yeah, or the idea that like a dragon just bolts it right to their flesh, to their scales or something, would be kind of awesome. That would be like a really cool thing for like a unique dragon that you wanted to add. And
Mhm.
also like I don't know, did you see the movie with the owls? Like the main characters, they're all owls and they do wear like armor
Yeah.
and have like claw blades they put on.
I don't remember what that was, but yes, I definitely
Yeah, I
definitely.
brought it up the other day. I still have no idea, but like, yeah, a dragon that did that, why not? Like, they kind of strap on the armor, and like they have like maybe their tail like has a metal piece that ends in like a freaking battle axe or mace or something, and then they have like steel claws that go over top of their already impressive claws.
That
Um,
would be pretty darn amazing.
why you're a dragon? Why wouldn't you like? And also like talk about talk about a show of wealth for you to have a suit of armor that's built to those kind of specifications. It feels very draconic. Now the other side of that is I remember like my first GM always talking about and describing the dragon scales and dragon hide as like dragons nest and sleep in their hordes. So what you actually end up with, and one of the reasons why the dragon's armor class is so high, is like it's like stuffed in their scales and embedded in their scales as coins and gemstones, from them constantly being in their horde. Which
Mhm.
again, that might be fun for a unique dragon too. Is if you describe that more, and if they have like a special move they do when they get down the like half health or whatever, where they do like the dog shake and just send these super valuable projectiles in all directions. Maybe like as a reaction to getting down to half health, and maybe it lowers their armor class after that a little bit, but they get this like this nuke attack they can use once.
That's definitely a lot of fun. I mean, I was thinking more along the lines of dragons. There's nothing to say that they can't have cults, slaves, worshippers, what have you. So imagine, if you've got Dorogar tend to usually go deep. What if you got a red dragon, that's basically living, deep within a volcano, and Dorogar wind up, suiting this thing up with, a vast set of armor. Um, and maybe the red dragon's not the typical red dragon, and the Dorgar aren't your typical Dorgar. But I mean, you could
Oh wait a
definitely
minute, I got you, dog.
what you got.
Give you one moment. I just gotta look it up. But yeah, like this definitely made me think of a magic item from here. It is molten bronze skin, armor, breastplate, half plate, or plate. Requires attunement. This magical armor appears to be a jug of molten bronze that, when you attune to it, the bronze adheres and contours to your skin. The armor can be worn under normal clothes, but doesn't impede bodily functions. Once you put it on, it can't be removed unless you choose to do so. While wearing this armor, you have resistance to fire damage. The armor doesn't impose disadvantage on dexterity stealth checks. So, like, there's no size requirement on that, right? So you can just like put that on whatever. Now, granted, it's the equivalent of armor, so it's not really like you're probably not gonna use it on a dragon. Like, if you use it on a dragon, its armor class would go down in theory. So obviously it doesn't work that way. So it wouldn't be great for that. But maybe some other monsters it'd be pretty cool.
I mean, you could have, again, DM fiat there of like, okay, well, what if you have a different version of, said molten bronze, and it creates the armor and, gives that dragon some kind of boost. Because as opposed to going onto a skin, it goes on as an outer skin,
Yeah.
and armors up, areas outside of joints and what have you, and you've got now
It covers that one patch on Smog.
And if you want to look at things, I mean, you could basically, I don't know how many of you out there have seen from Rime of the Frost Maiden, WizKids, the Chardalyn dragon. The stat block, it's just a construct. It's not legitimately a dragon, but it looks like a dragon that's wearing a suit of armor. So, like, if you're looking for a nice mini to represent that, I mean, that's kind of perfect. You're looking to have an armored dragon fig.
Des, this Scentless Apprentice, says shields, 4 shields, 1 for each leg. I hate the multiple shield thing, but I would make them animated shields anyway and just have them like flying around the dragon and use a bunch of them. I probably wouldn't give it anything extra for having more shields, but it would just thematically look cool.
Basically circling around you like ion stones.
Yeah. So also, Brian Smith, I believe, mentioned about a Gorgon. Oh yeah. Oh, we just finished off a Gorgon. Talk about iconic armor. Yes, the Gorgon is also like, it's a monster I'm very fond of. I want to say it's like one of my favorite monsters, except for
everything's your favorite monster.
I'm kind of notorious for saying that every time we talk about a monster. I can't help it. I can't choose just one. No, like, so I don't know if I've actually ever used this against you guys, but my thoughts were to make a humanoid Gorgon.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially it would be a Minotaur,
right?
Kind of made out of the armor plating of a Gorgon.
Yeah, I think that would be a pretty badass creature.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Gorgatar.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what you want to call it, but and they've got things that are similar now because there is some construct Minotaurs that I've seen the stats for. But yeah, the idea that you take kind of like elevate a Gorgon a status a little bit and give it a humanoid form. Might have to make that monster at some point.
If only there was a thing where we do new content all the time, like a website or a newsletter article,
or Patreon wars or something. Who knows? Yeah.
Right, I'm we got 15 minutes left, so I'm going to show something off.
Oh, you want to do your show and tell?
I'm just going to do this.
All right, Ted, whip it out. Let's see it.
So I don't know how many of you out there happen to be, Critical Role fans or mini fans.
Oh my God, Ted, it's huge. It's so big.
This is Udak, from the Explorer's Guide to Wildemount. The new Critical Role WizKids sets come out, I think it's June 2nd. You'll be able to get them from WizKids or on Amazon. And this thing is, on the, the cool clear base. You can literally, get them smack up right up against their, the thing's feet and hands.
Yeah.
It's a nice 8-inch base. It's ridiculous. The sculpt on this guy is pretty damn epic, if you ask me.
He's got a sexy smile.
He's amazing. I dug this guy right from the moment that I first saw him. So there's
What's his deal in campaign 2, right? That's a campaign 2 monster.
I do believe so. I was pulling out the Explorer's Guide, and he's like the last monster that's in the thing, and I was reading it. He's a challenge 16. It's a solo monster, but they're basically fiends that don't have any association with the lower planes anymore. And they wander the coastline, basically destroying whatever's in their path, unless this one faction has found a way to basically make collars. The Kryn dynasty have developed arcane collars that can keep an Udak under control, and they've begun using these dread creatures in their war. So it's like, holy crap. I couldn't imagine several of these things, coming
on the battlefield.
Given the size of them.
Well, they're great siege weapons. I mean, they do double damage against objects and structures. They got a cool charge attack. Holy, 6x8 bludgeoning damage.
Yeah, so these things are going to tear through, whatever's there. But you can use it as the Udak that's in there. Brian brings up, oh, is that a possible gray render? I mean, you could have that be a warped or an elevated gray render.
That is a really big gray render. Like, gray renders are only large.
Right. Well, this thing is gargantuan. And whenever I get a mini, that's almost, it falls into that unique aspect.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering if it came up in the, because I know you watch Critical Role, if you've seen them.
I do believe they fought one at one point in time, but I could be wrong.
And in case anyone's wondering, yes, they do swallow. So beware.
There is a devil toad in the actual book that is in one of the sets. He's over there on the table, hoping to get
but he's a chump next to Udak.
He is a chump next to Udak. Everything else is larger, smaller in the line.
Yeah.
But there's 6 amazing sets. If you're a fan of Critical Role, or you're a fan of, amazing sculpted minis, it's not like your typical WizKid stuff where it's blind purchase. You can go get the set that you want. So if you want the monsters, there's 2 sets of monsters. You want the NPCs that you could use as, player characters, there's 3 different sets based on the different, empires or dynasties. You can get some pretty cool characters. They actually have an Echo Knight and his Echo, which I thought was pretty badass.
Yeah, I've kind of been distracted because now I'm looking at the monsters in there, which I haven't looked at since I came out, probably. And there's some pretty cool ones.
And most of the monsters that are in that book,
are
in that selection.
Oh my God, the Horizon Back Tortoise.
That's the only one that I think is not in the selection. They only made one gargantuan mini, and rather than the giant tortoise, they made the giant fiend, who is just look like he's saying hi. He's like, hi. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, dude, they need to make one of those.
You need. Okay, well, I'll hop on the line to WizKids.
Make that happen.
Get them to talk to Critical Role and be like, look, you're missing out here. You need the Horizon Back Tortoise as well.
Wow, 227 hit points for a CR7? That seems like a lot.
That does seem like a lot.
Sorry, folks. Coming back to the stream. I'm coming back to the stream.
So to answer your question, Brian, no, I am not completely caught up to date yet. I'm watching, I'm like an hour and 20 minutes in to Thursday's session because it only went live on YouTube, today at 3:00. And
slacker.
Sorry, man. It takes me, sometimes a couple of days to get through it all with everything that I do.
I mean, Fair enough. Like you could like for every episode of Critical Role you watch, I watch like half a season of something. So
Well, it's this one is like it's like I think 3 hours and 49 minutes.
oh, it was a short one.
Yeah, well, I mean that they've been in that 3.5-ish hours per session for a while now.
Okay. I know there's
Uh,
definitely been some 5 hour ones.
oh, there's been five and longer, but it's like episode 139 of season two. Season one was like 114 episodes. So I mean, even if you gauge them at 4 hours a piece, which I think is a conservative estimate,
Yeah.
that's a lot of hours of consumption.
It is a lot.
And then you have to add in all of the one shots, and there are a significant number of those.
What prompts the one shots? Is it usually like a charity thing or an event?
Sometimes it's a charity thing. Sometimes it's a not everybody's going to be available, so they decide to uh, sub out. Maybe Matt's not available, so somebody
Okay.
else takes up the DM seat, and then they bring in some other guest players. Um, and there's been a lot of really amazing people who have come in. I'm gonna totally blank, but I mean, I know, Mika has come in. I know TJ Storm has come in for a number of games. Will Friedle. So, definitely some, known names that are out there and whatnot. So,
Yeah. XP to level 3, they're about to go back to doing, I think Arcade Arcanum, I think, or Arcanum Arcade is their live channel where they put up their games, and they got like a whole new setup.
okay.
Where like they didn't want any wires or anything on the ground. So I think Jacob was showing me after I had him on, and like everything's on the ceiling, everything's like mounted. So when it showed and I think he showed me the camera views too. So when so they basically had that the Critical Role split screen for when they film, and then he
Mhm.
had I forget who he said he had. It was either a friend or family someone built him a table to have like all the jacks installed in it, places to put your stuff, cubbies. He's like, when I'm not using my dwarven forge, and he pulls off the center, and he's got the TV embedded in it, the screen embedded in it. It was pretty cool setup.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing. I've given some thought and some consideration into, do I want to go crazy and go down a different road? But I'm a long ways away from starting that project because first part would be okay. Well, in order for that to happen, I have to get rid of the pool table,
Yeah,
which would absolutely require dismantling it down here, and that would be problematic. And unless I had another table ready to go, which would have to be built sectional elsewhere and brought down here in pieces and
yeah,
assembled, because unlike the previous owner, there ain't nothing's going to say, yeah, let's cut another hole in the foundation wall to bring in a table.
yeah. I don't know how you like because being familiar with basement, like you the first thing you encounter is a right angle. So I don't know how you would get a decent sized table in there. It would
Yeah,
be tough. Although you've got some couches and stuff down there, so I guess it's doable.
you got mini couches, the little, you know,
And they squish too, so
yeah. So I
it's
don't
not
know.
like trying to put a piece of wood, so a big, large piece of wood through. Yeah, it definitely would be some challenges. The best bet probably is to have something that can be assembled down there.
And but even then, it would be problematic, and that's just not worth the headache. But it's definitely been a thought, to
Well, what would you replace your current table with?
well, like to try and have that, that stylized gaming table that's got,
Uh,
the fold out trays for, oh, here's where you put your drink, and here's where you put your laptop or your phone, or whatever it is that you're going to use. Have the embedded, GM screen, television, that I would then could, connect a remote to my laptop to be able to say, all right, I'm going to play, that 3D battlefield that I can put effects and that kind of stuff. I've marveled at all of that. That's
Yeah,
so much
I
cool
think you would be torn though because you also
stuff.
you like physical stuff. You
I,
like building it. You like putting out terrain and scatter.
I do, but
Yeah,
there's also the that whole concept of if I had just a pure
digital.
electronic route and had a working program that I liked, then that would free up the space, and I could occasionally make special things. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna.
What was the company they've done a couple of sponsorships with us? It's like interactive dynamic maps, but there's more to it. There's like 4 words, a lot of syllables. And I think Jacob he's using those as well because it is kind of cool because you could be like, oh, like you can have weather conditions, you can have water that's animated, you can
Yeah,
have animated lava and stuff like that, which is super cool.
yeah, I think it was interactive dynamic maps. I think IDM. Um, I mean, there might have been another thing in there, another qualifier,
Adjective. Yeah.
but that's the kind of stuff that I would be looking for. That's what it would take to replace, and then just be like, oh well, I could just be able to toggle for you're in this layer of the building and you're in
Yeah.
this layer of the building, and would allow me to kind of do things that I can't do now because I don't have the time to build everything that I want. I mean, I've literally been working on a craft exchange for somebody for months, and I'm
Huh.
sitting here looking at this thing that's like, yep, you still got hours worth of work to do.
Dope.
Get to work, and I'm like, oh, but there's so many things going on, and I keep apologizing, and they're like, that's good, I'm behind too. And
Nice.
either they're being polite and saying, stupid dude, or they're legitimately got things going on and they're not done yet either.
Maybe
So
both. So it's possible.
no, I don't think I can have it upstairs and then drop it down. I've got a drop ceiling in my basement.
Yeah.
I can't really go through the drop ceiling.
Not with that attitude, you can't.
All right, well, can always do that too.
You just need to phase it through. Where's Vision or Shadowcat when you need them?
Oh, last I heard, Vision's still dead, and Shadowcat, kind of got lost in a cameo.
Did you not? Did you watch WandaVision?
Yeah, is he not still dead?
Well, there was a version of him in that because he
Oh,
had some.
well,
You definitely had some hot Vision on Vision action.
that's true. I'll have to rewatch the end and see how that goes, because I thought he died again. Um,
Yeah.
Spoiler. Sorry.
That's been out for a little while now.
Uh,
Not as long as not as long as our Curse of Strahd spoiler, but
so we're down to our last minute. Any things that topic wise that you wanna cover?
tomorrow night we're playing our Ingest Quest game. So that'll be session 3.
Session 3. Yep.
Man, time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, it's definitely an amusing time. Yeah, it's definitely becoming a more connected storyline with these characters, which I definitely dig. Um, and getting familiar with the rule set and seeing how it's beyond the way it's intended, being able to use it for uh, our own style, I
Yeah.
think is enjoyable. And
It took a little bit of like kind of easing into.
because like I'm playing a fighter and I'm like, can I reflavor this? Can I try it this way? And Doug's been like, oh yeah, I'm super on board for that. And I'm like, great, excellent. So
Yeah, yeah.
we didn't even really have a fight last session, so that was definitely cool to be like, okay, well, we're gonna do this as a trial as opposed to a fight. And I'm like, ooh, this sounds interesting.
Yeah. There's different ways to do the mechanics. And also in that game, like the mechanics are weird anyway. It's just like roll a d20. Did you roll, I think a 10 or higher? And then it's
No,
even.
6 to 10 is a success with consequence. 11 through 19 is
Yeah.
success. Uh, and 20 is a triumph. So like, great things happen.
The consequences are so bizarre, though, right? Like some of them are like you take a point of damage, or this town over here just gets wiped out. But
Well,
I was making a cake.
they offer suggestions.
My point is, some of the suggestions are very extreme.
Yes, they are utterly ridiculous because like the system doesn't have a way of knowing what it is that you're attempting to do.
Yeah.
Uh, so like it really does come down to um, I forget what the quest GM is considered.
Guide. I think they're a guide.
Yes, guide. The guide needs to be able to have a clue as to what's going on because the app doesn't. So it's like, all right, well, you're trying to bake a cake. Well, you could be like, oh, well, it tastes fine, but the person that you're making it for might be offended at the flavor choice that you used. Okay, let's work with that.
They're actually allergic.
It tastes great, but oh my God, I'm going to die.
My throat is closing. On that note, we'll be back here tomorrow. I'll be back here tomorrow afternoon at noon as usual, and then we'll be back again for our Ingest Quest game in the evening.
And wait, before you wrap up, if one gaming session is not enough from Nerdarchy this week, Untraditionally Arcane, the next episode is going to be this Friday at 8:00, here on this channel.
Ooh.
So come check out me and the Chaos crew and check out Untraditionally Arcane.
Nice. Get your magic goodness in there. With that, until next time, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.